Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go. And we'll skip through the intro because it's just a bunch of long, boring crap. They repeat
officers and the information you're about to arrest us. In addition, is it patrol officers respond especially for young children and sensitive viewers.
Here we go.
Southwest patrol officers responded to a radio call of an assault with a deadly weapon suspect armed with a machete at a residence in the 1200 block of West 38th Street. An uninvolved community member reported the suspect having an altercation with another male and attempting to strike this male with a machete. Here is the call and corresponding radio broadcast.
911, police, fire, paramedics.
Because here is one guy that all that is with a machete in his hand, it's a guy fighting with another one with machete in his hand.
Okay, well, what's the address?
It's at West 38th Street.
The guy that has a machete, is he white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
No, he never is with medication, but he is treating to anyone who is coming to that house.
What race is he?
Black.
What is he wearing?
Just a green t-shirt.
What is he wearing?
Green t-shirt.
What else?
Many times the police has come, but I don't know what they don't see.
What else is he wearing? So we need to find him. What color pants?
It's just a green t-shirt.
No pants?
Oh man, you know I don't think sometimes that dispatchers really get the recognition that they should get. I mean they gotta take some phone calls that are real stressful or real maybe stressful is not the good word for this one. Real trying, I guess you could say. Kind of a yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Blue jean.
And he has a machete.
Yeah.
Is this a house or residence or a business?
It's a house, but he's just renting here.
Okay. Did he assault anybody?
Yeah, we're trying to kill all men here.
Southwest units in 3862, 3862, ADW suspect there now, 12 West 38th Street. West 38th Street, suspect male, black, green shirt, blue jeans, possibly armed with a machete. Code 3 incident 3129 RD 377.
When officers arrived, they located the suspect inside a nearby residence, no longer armed with the machete. They learned that the male the suspect had engaged in the altercation with and threatened with a machete was a family member. That suspect was identified as Shawn Walker. The officers established communication with Walker and ordered him to the front porch area of the residence. As officers attempted to take Walker into custody, he began resisting the officers, resulting in a use of force. During the use of force, and while being taken into custody, an officer contacted the front of Walker's neck for less than 1 second. Walker was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon and transported to Southwest Community Police Station. While there, Walker complained of pain to his head and hands. Walker also said he was choked by officers, resulting in a categorical use of force investigation. This incident was captured on the officer's body-worn video. Body-worn video cameras are used by most officers as prospective viewers both have a buffation. This immediately this incident.
But now was with his father. He was trying to kill his father.
When?
Just a few minutes ago.
How? Where's that?
They are inside, but the dad doesn't live here.
They leave?
The dad doesn't live here. Come to just to visit him. And he has a machete.
Tenía un machete, ¿qué es lo que quería hacer?
Matar al viejo.
¿Cómo?
Lo agarró a machetazos y el señor agarró, primero agarró el espejo para defenderse, después la bicicleta para defenderse.
I just don't see how people wear long sleeves all the time. So, this thing that he's wearing is a taser holster. It is a drop leg taser holster. Not the biggest fan of these things, but some places will use these. And you can see whenever he moves the green color in there. And so green is a color that Los Angeles police use for denoting their less than lethal tools. So based off the color that I see and having, knowledge of these little things, that's what that is. It's not, like I said, it's not the best way to carry it, but sometimes people with smaller belt sizes will end up using these because they just don't have a whole lot of room on their belt to be able to put it on there. So they use this drop leg function right there. And of course, you'll notice that his portable radio does not have a remote mic on it, or shoulder mic, as some call it. Again, not the biggest fan of portables not having those on there. I think those are a necessity for public safety, especially, being in law enforcement. It is a crucial piece of equipment. It is a life safety piece of equipment. It's a life-saving piece of equipment. Every time he wants to have to use this radio, he has to reach down, pull it out of its pouch, talk into it, put it back in its pouch. That's a lot of unnecessary steps when you could just reach up, click the little button attached to your shoulder, and release.
Anyone inside, come out, LAPD.
30 223 130. And just confirm you're talking
What are you doing?
223 130.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what that is. A little odd. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that before. First, I thought it was like a strap to a ankle gun or something, but I don't know what that is.
And just confirm you're talking you're on the
Hey, LAPD. Anyone inside? Step out.
USC 10, that's for west side of Vermont.
What was he doing? Did he try to hurt you?
No, he's just aggressive. Is he here? Yeah, come on. Come on.
You fighting with him? Hey, relax. Hey, just relax, alright?
You're not stronger than me. Brr, 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 brr.
You're not stronger than me, bro. Watch out, man. Leave me alone, man. You're not stronger than me, bro.
So this is, let me back this up.
Hey, relax.
So he's talking about this officer stepping in and grabbing him. He's like, they can't come in here without a warrant. These people are always about screaming to people that they know their rights and they know the law. But in reality, they know very little about their rights or the law. They know very little because they are fucking stupid.
Hey, just relax, alright?
You're not stronger than me, bro. Watch out, man. Leave me alone, man. You're not stronger than me, bro.
Not stronger than me. So Obviously, this dude's got some anger issues. He cannot control himself. And I would suspect that this is not his first time being involved in the criminal justice system. He has probably been in detention multiple times. Probably started off being in juvenile detention, and then, of course, as an adult, went into adult detention. And some jails can have some soft approaches to things, depending on the jail and the location. You know, some places can just have a very soft, weak approach to things and just don't do things the way they should. People act like this and they get away with it, and they get to dictate how things go inside that jail. Should never happen, but it does happen. And so people like this will learn that, and since they got away with it once or they got good results one time, they'll do it again. So these jailers, these corrections officers, whatever, some of them are not doing their jobs the way they should. Some of the administrators of these places are not having their staff do their job the way that they should be doing, and it ends up making it harder for people who work the streets, because now they're having to deal with people who have learned bad traits and were conditioned incorrectly while they've been locked up. And so these people have unrealistic expectations. They think if they can do this so many times around what they see as other cops, then when they see the street cops, they think they can end up doing the same shit to them. And there are some street cops who will fucking cater to this bullshit. They will coddle and pander to stupid little fucks like this. And it doesn't help anybody when you coddle and pander a little criminal and they start acting like they're going to have a little hissy fit and throw a little temper tantrum, and you want to de-escalate the situation and just let them go on this fucking tirade of just acting like a toddler and losing their shit. It doesn't help, because they learn that it's okay to act that way. If you had a kid and every time you went out to a store and they stomped their feet and they took stuff off the shelf and threw it and they fucking yelled, "I want a toy, I want a toy, I want a toy," and then you gave them a fucking toy, what do you expect is going to happen the next time you go out to a store? If you don't get them a toy, guess what they're doing? Same fucking concept here. When these shitbag criminals act a certain way and then authority figures cater to them, guess what? They've fucking learned they can do that and get what they want. Well, sometimes they come across some authority figures who aren't playing that fucking game. They know better. They know that you cannot do that. It does not help at all. Obviously, he's come across a couple of guys who are not playing this fucking game with him.
What? What? They're not supposed to come in here. They're not supposed to come in here. Come on, that's not. You look at it.
Let me get a backup.
Come on, put my hands on my back. Come on. You look at it.
Let me get a backup.
Alright.
That's not.
See the radio antenna right there? I think he might have dropped it. Because you see this hand is open right here.
That's not.
Now he's got a hold of it.
You look at it.
Let me get a backup.
Come on, put my hands on my back. Come on.
And so that's why I said earlier that remote microphones should be a necessity when it comes to public safety. Trying to retain control over your portable radio when it falls out of your hand because it's out of your pouch should not be a thing. That radio should be securely fastened into its pouch, and it should have a remote microphone on there. Now, some people will argue, oh, the remote microphone can fall off, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure, it can. But guess what? Your radio's not falling off because it's securely fastened into a pouch, a holder. Now, there are ways that you can make sure that the shoulder mic doesn't go flinging and flying off. You can get a product called a mic loop and use that. You can fashion something similar to a mic loop and it prevent the radio mic from going out. There's some other products for using on the shoulder epaulets that you can get that make it to where they won't slip off very easily and go flying somewhere. So there's remedies there, right? You just have to look for them and then implement them. But your radio flying across the ground is not what you want. So what if he had not been able to put his hand on that radio and it skid down the stairs and landed on the sidewalk over here? Did he need to be getting up and going all the way over there and getting that radio, leaving this officer by himself trying to control the guy? Or should he be putting hands on trying to help control the guy?
Hold him down, hold him down.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Hey, what's the address here?
I can't breathe.
What's the address here?
I can't breathe.
What's that?
Okay. I'm good. I'm come.
What street?
I'm calm.
What street?
I'm calm. Relax. I can't breathe. Can you get off of me, bro?
1, 2.
I'm coming. I'm calm. Let me get up.
37th Street.
So at this point, it's time for the taser to come out. When people start drawing their arms up under them like this, it is extremely difficult to get their hands out from under them. Unless you have tried to wrestle a person into a pair of handcuffs, you just don't understand how difficult it can be. When arms go up under the chest like this or under their belly area, it's hard to get those arms out. They have the better positioning as far as leverage goes and retaining their limbs up under them. You can have two people pulling on one arm and still have difficulty in getting that arm out from under them. The taser deployment, how it could have helped is by achieving NMI, neuromuscular incapacitation. If he could have achieved NMI on this guy, then he would not have been able to control his limbs in such a manner that it would prevent them from being able to pull his limbs out from under him. So a taser deployment could have looked something like taking the taser gun, firing it high up in here, close proximity. So have the taser gun pointed right here and have it about an inch or two away so that when the taser fires, the bay doors can clear out of the way and allow the probes to go into the target. Now, if both probes go right here, close proximity to each other, that's not going to cause NMI. That's just going to be like taking the taser gun without a cartridge in it and driving it into someone. It's just going to cause pain. Now, he could comply with that pain. It's not likely. People can fight through pain. But you would fire the taser, have both probes close proximity, and then take the taser gun itself and go to a lower point. For example, right down here in the side where you see the shirt on the guy right here, or maybe even a little bit further down, depending on where this officer's leg's at would be the stopping point. I wouldn't want to cross over the officer's leg because then the wires would be touching him. So I would fire high into here and then take the gun and just drive it right down here into his side. That should definitely be enough distance to be able to achieve NMI. So the key behind NMI is having the probes spread far apart enough to be able to achieve NMI. And once you achieve NMI, neuromuscular incapacitation, you can pull those arms out from under them and do what's called arresting under power. And it's an effective technique. I've used this before. It's great to use because, like I said, once you achieve NMI, they can't control their arms. They cannot actively resist you like that anymore. They have no control over it. So fire close proximity into them somewhere. It could even be the reverse. You could fire close proximity into here and then take the gun and drive it down into there. It doesn't really matter where the two probes go at initially. The thing that matters is getting the spread and completing the circuit by driving the gun into the other part of them. But it's an effective technique. I like it, and I think it should be utilized more often. It is covered in the taser training, but the training a lot of times is not very realistic or helpful because the cartridges cost so freaking much. Even the training cartridges cost a lot of money, and so agencies who are already cash strapped can find it difficult to purchase all those extra cartridges for training purposes and have officers go through enough scenarios and drills to where it becomes a natural choice for them to want to go to under stress and under these circumstances. Because unless they go through it a couple times for training purposes or have covered it enough, they're not going to be able to recall it very well in an incident when they start having elevated heart rate and start going into a little bit of the fight or flight syndrome. Some of the academic stuff that's within the forebrain sort of goes out the window, so to speak, and their midbrain starts coming to take in a little bit. And unless they've done some things multiple times, midbrain's not going to be able to recall those things and be able to implement them very well. But this is a common thing that I see is people not utilizing taser when they could be utilizing it.
Please. Oh my God.
What street is this?
It's 37. It's 38. Let's see it. 38th Street. There's 38th Street. 38th Street.
That'd be 38th Street. 1, 2. West 38th Street.
Oh my God.
Hey, chill out, bro.
Okay.
All right, keep killing each other.
So they're also outside, and there is a possibility of being able to use pepper spray. Now, the contradiction to pepper spray in this instance is this support officer or this officer who's pinning him down the ground, his head and face is close to the suspect's head and face. So if this officer were to do even a small burst of OC right at this guy's nose area that's on the ground, this officer here could feel the effects of it. But that's still a potential option. And in order to even get this guy's face, you would have to basically from the side just aim at the nose and the ground and just give a squirt, and it should hit that area, splatter up a little bit and get into the eye. It might not get the other eye, but it'll get into that one eye, and then he'll start inhaling it and everything and get the effects from it. I wouldn't say that's a very high what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say that's a very high on the list go-to option doing that, but it's still an option. Number one option, and I think the best option, is to utilize taser.
Guys, I'm letting you know. Okay. I got. Relax, bro. Okay.
There's also, of course, techniques to be able to use the baton to get it up into this arm area and lock it in, and then use the leverage of the baton to bring the arm up and then lock it into place. But that is something that you have to practice on a whole lot to have it become a muscle memory kind of thing, or else it becomes a perishable skill, and then you forget, hey, how do I stick this in at what direction and put it here and then do what? So unless you've practiced that kind of thing enough, then I wouldn't exactly say that it would be a good idea to attempt to utilize that, because you could start to lose control over that person, and then they start to gain control over that baton, and you've just now given them a weapon. Which goes back to me saying taser is the better option. And of course, holding techniques, getting a hold of the wrist in a certain way and doing a pain compliance hold or a pressure point technique, something like that. Those are also options as well. But when it comes to certain pain things, people can fight through pain. There are some more physical holds that could potentially be done, as far as like BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, stuff like that. Really getting in there and getting a good lock on this person. The mechanics of that are complex, I guess you could say. At least from the sense of trying to describe it, and trying to describe it, it also would really entail visuals to go along with it as well. And it's just not something with how I do these videos that could even be done with any justice. So, and I am not the best hand-to-hand person, I guess you could say, as far as like teaching anything. You know, one reason why I don't teach hand-to-hand stuff. But there is some good stuff to be able to learn as far as just straight hands-on and getting a good lock on a person's limbs and getting them under power. But aside from that, taser, it's a tool, and it's a very simple tool. And again, like I said, achieving that NMI and arresting under power is a pretty damn good option. So his tie right here, I don't like uniforms with ties. I've never understood the whole tie thing. Like, that's so stupid. It really is. Now, I could see it from like a garrison kind of standpoint, like it's going to be like a ceremonial type of thing, like you're at the station doing some detail or whatever, or you're in the office and you're just command staff. I can understand the tie being a part of the uniform. If you're out working the streets, I think that tie is fucking ridiculous. I think it's a safety issue, especially if it's a real tie. Now, these should be clip-on ties. That way they can't be weaponized and used against them. But still, they get in the way. And this one, because he doesn't have a pin on it and is keeping it closer to his body, it's flapping in the wind and getting in the way, blocking the view of the camera. It's just totally unnecessary. But there's some agencies out there that have this tradition of having a tie on their uniform, and so everyone has to wear a tie on their uniform when it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But then you got some other agencies out there that recognize the tie is fucking stupid and they don't wear a tie. I wish the other agencies that wear ties would look at those agencies and be like, hey, you know what? Wearing a tie is stupid. Let's stop doing this.
I can know him?
Nobody's hurting you. You're fine.
Got that knee on his head. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Some people would cry about this and blah blah blah. He is not putting his whole body weight down on this dude's head. He is just pinning this portion of the body down and preventing him from being able to get up. An effective technique. I've done this before as well. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem, though, is obviously you can't look and see how much pressure is being exerted. So now that becomes his word against his. He can say that, no, I was not putting full body weight on it. But this guy, he's going to make it sound like, oh, yeah, that was the full brunt of his body weight was on my head. That was the only thing touching my head was him with his knee on my head. He was balancing on my head, full body weight. No, that's not the case. There's no way that he could put his full body weight on his head. He wouldn't even be able to gain the balance in order to do that. He would fall over. Even if he was some like circus performer and had some crazy freaking balance and agility, there's still no way that he could balance his knee on this dude's head and put all his body weight into that one point without this guy squirming and moving and then him falling. Like, he's going to fall if he tried to do that. So there is absolutely no way whatsoever that he's putting his full body weight on this dude's head. You can see that his other knee's on the ground here. His hand right here is into his back. There is load bearing on here. You can see it how he's holding him. And he's got a hold of this arm as well. So there's probably more weight being put into this knee and this hand than there is these two right here. He's just using enough force to keep this dude's head down so that he can't get up and start fighting them. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. And then boom, what do you know? As soon as the cuffs are on, his knee comes up. But because of George Floyd, all these motherfuckers are like, oh, you can put your knee on me, you put your knee on me, you put your knee on me. You're going to get fired. You're going to go to jail. No.
Hey, take it up, relax. You're gonna be fine. I know. You got purpose, bro. No, you didn't tell me, so you just want to be stronger, bro. You just want to be stronger.
So, always talking shit, these people, man. Always talking shit.
3-7. Come on, put my hands down.
Alright, so they're on the ground. He's got both his hands on the back of his neck area.
Oh my God, come on.
No problem with this whatsoever. I mean, he's keeping his head down, and he's preventing this dude from gaining any leverage and being able to get up and start fighting them. This is probably the safest place for him to be. Otherwise, he would be getting hurt during a fight. They're not punching him. They're not giving knee strikes. Those things cause injuries. He's just holding him down. Now that right there, that's what has caused this entire video to occur. Back it up.
Oh my God, come on.
So we see both hands on back right here. And then boom, this guy's resisting, moving around, and his hand slips and it goes right there. But then he moves his hand very quickly. Even if he had purposely put his hand to the front there, I still see no problem with that. I have no problem with this whatsoever. Again, what's the alternative? Having to use greater force to gain compliance over him. What would you rather see? Would you rather see this officer laying on top of him and holding his hair and pushing his head down to the ground? Or would you rather see this officer taking this hand, balling it into a fist, and repeatedly striking him in the fucking face until he complies? Which would you rather see? Which do you think is going to cause less injury? This is causing less injury, less pain. Not really any injuries going on here, just pain at this point. He's controlling the guy, keeping him down, and he's not having to use any higher level of force. Again, like I said, it could result, or it could end up being that if he was not doing this, he's going to have to use some heavier tactics, some closed fist strikes to gain compliance on this guy, some knee strikes going into this guy's side. He's actually saving this dude from a fucking ass whooping is what he's doing.
I can't breathe. I can't.
Now that metal thing that fell,
Hey, what side is it? I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. What side is it? I can't breathe.
so this metal thing that fell is his name tag. So this is his name tag, and this is a little metal piece that sticks through the uniform, and then a little button piece goes on the back to keep the whole thing in place. So obviously with them fighting and everything, that has popped loose and has now fell down to the ground. This is also another reason why I just do not think that your Class A uniform tradition is the best uniform to be using for police work. Yeah, if you're command staff and all you do is stay your ass at the station riding a desk, by all means, put on the metal name tag. Because you're not doing anything out in the streets anyway. Ceremonial purposes, awards, ceremonies, stuff like that. Yeah, Class A uniform, great. On the streets, this is stupid. That serves no point. Like, nobody gives a fuck about a metal name tag out in the streets. Like, the public does not look at that and think, oh, these are really good police. They've got metal name tags and metal badges and these little metal pins on their collars. They don't give a flying fuck about that stuff. They really don't. You could have an embroidered badge on your shirt and an embroidered name tag on there. And they're still going to look at you the same. They don't give a fuck. They don't care about this stuff. The only people who care about this shit is the police. That's it. Nobody cares about this stuff. And wearing this shit and fighting in it doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. This shit needs to be reserved for just official occasions. You got an award ceremony, court appearance, etc. That's when the little metal name tags and the metal badge come into play. As far as working the streets go, I think sewn-on patches and embroidery are the best way to go. It's less bullshit to have to deal with when you're getting dressed. You can have 4 different shirts with the sewn-on patch and the name tags and stuff, and that's all you got to do is put that damn shirt on. You ain't got to take all this shit off, undo your name tag, undo the pins from your collars, undo the badge, and then grab your other shirt out of the closet and start pinning all that other shit back on there. That's a lot of time. And in fact, there are some agencies that will include that whole gearing up process as part of the pay. That's when the clock starts for some agencies, is when the officers are at home putting all their shit on. Because it is a process to put all this stuff on. It really is. But anyway, like the whole, metal tags and metal badges and shit, I think it's stupid for street purposes. Leave it for ceremonial purposes.
I can't breathe. Okay, I'm good. I'm calm. I'm calm.
And again, him saying, I can't breathe, etc. That's bullshit. He can breathe. How do I know he's breathing? He's talking. If you can talk, you can breathe. Airflow is what is required to be able to speak. You have to be able to breathe in, and then as you are talking, that air is exhaling out of your lungs and is passing through your vocal cords. You can take a breath of air and talk and read a paragraph or two out of a book, read a couple pages, and you're going to have to breathe in again. It requires breathing to talk. That is a reason why people who are choking on their food or some other object, who are legitimately choking, can't fucking talk and tell you that they're choking because they can't fucking breathe. Their airway is blocked. Ding, ding, ding. So yes, he can breathe. He's talking. But he is saying this because he thinks it's going to be his little magic ticket for this officer to get off of him because of the whole George Floyd bullshit. Some of these people think that, cops got arrested and fired over, someone not being able to breathe. That's the magic word. I can't breathe. And in actually some places, they do get that response. Detention facilities, jails, prisons, those are places where you can get a response like that. Some of them are. And there's some police agencies and some officers of some agencies that will respond to that in that way. They will instantaneously change what they're doing based off someone saying they can't breathe. Or even the whole suicide bit. Like someone say, I'm suicidal. And then, boom, demeanors change in a heartbeat. Why? Because these people are used to getting that way when they do it. Why do they keep saying it? Because that someone has changed their attitude towards them when they've done it. It's just like taking a kid to a store, and that kid throws a tantrum, yells, cries, grabs shit off the shelf, throws it, stomps their feet, and demands a toy. And then you give them that toy. What have you taught that kid? You taught that kid, if he acts a certain way, he's going to get what the fuck he wants. And so when some of these people go in the jails and prisons, guess what? They say, I'm suicidal. And then people change their tunes. And guess what? They just got what they want.
Calm. Relax. I can't breathe. Can you get off of me, bro?
Los Angeles.
So I have no doubt whatsoever that if he had let him go or moved his position in any way, this dude would have continued to fight these officers and aggressively fight them, or he would have tried to bolt and run off. So he's obviously just using the I can't breathe bullshit to get these officers off of him so he can continue to do something else. Either run away or fight them.
Medics were summoned to Southwest Community Police Station and assessed Walker for his head injury and minor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Such horrible injuries this guy has. This dude wants to talk a game about how he's so tough, he's so strong, he's so hard, but yet he wants to act like a little bitch and have to have the medics come down to the jail to check him out. Boo fucking who. Thought you was fucking hard ass there, buddy.
Cuts. He was medically cleared and was later booked into an LAPD.
And it cracks me up too when people, will talk about how they're injured or, they're having chest pains or something like that, thinking that's going to keep them out of jail. We call this incarceritis. they think that if they fake some medical thing, it's going to get them out of jail. And I don't know. I mean, there's some places, depending on, you know, what you say, they will just take you to the hospital. But even as stupid liberal some places have gotten, I don't know. I can't think of any places that have legitimately just let someone go because they said, "Oh, I'm having chest pains." Like, when in the history of law enforcement has anyone said, "Oh, I'm having chest pains," and then the officer pull the fucking car over and let them out and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you in this situation. Here, let me take these cuffs off. You can go about your merry way." Nah, that shit don't happen. But these guys are used to doing this because it works. It worked for them so much in school and with their parents. "I'm not feeling good. I got a tummy ache." And then voila, they didn't have to do what they were required to do or expected to do because they faked some kind of sickness. Or at work. You know, shitheads like this, if this little shithead even works, highly doubt he does, going to work. "Oh, I'm not feeling good today. I gotta go." Or they call in. "Oh, I don't feel good. I can't come in." A learned condition. They've done it multiple times and got what they wanted. So they think when it comes to the police and them getting arrested, if they fake some kind of illness, somehow that's going to mean that they're not going to jail. No, you're fucking going to jail. If you don't go straight to jail, you just go to the hospital. They'll have a doctor medically clear you for incarceration, and then you're still going to jail. So, yeah, like I said, it's called incarceritis, or arresticitis. Some people will call it too. You know, they'll get arrested and they'll, I'm not feeling good. I got chest pains. I think I'm having a heart attack. Blah 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 blah. Or they get inside the jail and they start doing that shit. They just get cleared by medical professionals and they still stay their ass in jail.
Jail facility. During the use of force, one officer sustained an injury to his right hand and was transported to a nearby hospital for treatment. LAPD's Force Investigation Division assumed investigative responsibility for this incident. Investigators recovered a machete with a 20.
Now imagine if he would have come out the house with that thing. This would have been a different video. His ass would have been shot if he came out there towards them with that thing.
20-inch blade from inside Walker's residence and booked it as evidence. On May 17, 2022, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office filed the following charge against Walker: 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon.
So that happened in May 17th. At time of recording, right now, it is June 26th. So he's obviously already out of jail. And I would not be surprised if his case has been dismissed or his charges have been amended down to something lesser for a plea deal. That is the problem in our society right now. Criminals being arrested for one thing and then having their charges changed in a plea deal to go down to something lesser, or they just get a lesser sentence and a little slap on the wrist and they never learn their lessons. So, no, I'm willing to put money on it that this dude is already out of jail and has probably been out of jail for a while. Probably got out of jail before the end of May was over with, to be honest with you.
Shawn Walker is a 23-year-old resident of Los Angeles.
So, 23 years old, and I can. This is another thing I can put a bet on. This is not his first rodeo with the criminal justice system. He's been involved in the criminal justice system before. People just don't act like this naturally. They really don't. And have never had interactions with the criminal justice system. It's just not possible. This dude's fucking hot-headed, and he's fucking crazy. Obviously trying to kill his own father with a machete. Like, what's this dude's fucking problem? So, yeah, he's been involved in the system multiple times before. And again, That goes back to what I just talked about. The courts releasing people too early, amending their charges down to something lesser as part of a plea deal, or even if they do have the original charge stick to them, giving them lesser sentences or alternatives to detention type of sentences. Instead of putting them in jail, they'll do something like house arrest, or they'll just do probation for a while, or some other silly ass nonsense bullshit. That's not helping society any, especially when it comes to violent little fuckers like this. Violent offenders do not need to have their wrist slapped at all. Their asses need to be locked away. Need to be locked away for a good minute.
In the next several months, the LAPD will continue to investigate and analyze this incident.
So that's it on this video. No officer-involved shooting in this. This was just what they call a categorical use of force investigation, and the only reason they initiated this investigation is because the officer's hand went towards the front of this guy's throat. And it's not even like he did it intentionally. The dude's fighting and resisting, and it just happened that his hand slipped and it went into that area. So kind of a bullshit thing, I guess you could say, to investigate, but they ended up doing it, and this is how we're getting to see the video. Still a good video, I think. Some good talking points off of it, but it's kind of bullshit that they had to take it to this point. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.